Welcome back, everyone. We have a special one for you today. Today we're going to do an introduction for Zara. And so while later we're going to have some gameplay video to show you that goes over Zara's kit, first we're going to go into his backstory. Now, since we've been developing this game for over 3 years, we've had a chance to create a deep and expansive lore. But that also makes it a little bit difficult to find a starting point. So the most logical place for Zara is just at his birth. Zara is born in Chimera, a world perpetually in the throes of war since its inception, when the first gods used powerful magic vessels to create the primordial races. Little is known of the early history of Chimera, except that at some point, when the first gods left, they entrusted these powerful magic vessels to a dragon-like race they created called the Renga. But at some point, both the Renga and the vessels vanished, and all that remains are their mixed bloodlines and whispers of treachery. Now, Zara's clan is one of the most direct descendants of the Renga, and they've inherited much of their unique magic powers as well as part of their original appearance. But despite their bloodline and powerful abilities, they're far from the apex race in Chimera, a reality faced too early for Zara. As a child, his entire clan was absorbed by a group of necromancers called the Zokka, and Zara too was nearly consumed. He was the last one left, a child whose soul could barely feel even a tiny soul gem. But the Zokka were nothing if not thorough and greedy. And their leader Akun lifts Zara up and starts draining his soul, draining it, and he sneers as he takes the last few drops from Zara's hollow body. But at that moment, BAM! A gigantic army appears out of nowhere. Clad in all white, this army is like nothing Chimera has ever seen before. Warriors from all races gathered together under one flag and were led by a demon king. The necromancers could hardly reel in shot before their bodies were ripped apart. They were utterly annihilated, or at least their bodies were, because their core essences of the necromancers puffed out from their gory, limb-strewn corpses, a final trick they'd crafted to elude death one last time. Zara was not so fortunate. His soul was entirely drained from his body, except for its crumbling husk, just enough for him to remain alive, but so far gone that he would never be capable of emotions or free will again. He would never learn what it means to trust or to love. But at the same time, he wouldn't know fear or pain. He wouldn't ever doubt or betray. Incidentally, by failing to take the remainder of Zara's soul, Akun created the perfect soldier in Zara. A fact not lost on the Demon King, who took Zara under his blackened wing. And from that day until his last, the Demon King was known to Zara only as Master.
Okay, so first off, I just want to warn you that this is very much pre-alpha footage. Now, you'll definitely see lots of room for improvement, but hopefully this at least shows you the direction we're headed. Alright, so as a descendant of the Renga, Zara relies heavily on fire and magic. Here you can see that Zara blocks with a pair of summoned wings. Now, you can't block forever, and once your block charge runs out, you'll become vulnerable for a moment. But don't worry, because this will recharge automatically while you're not blocking. Of course, absorbing damage with your shield will also reduce your block charge. And in addition to blocking, you can also dodge simply by holding down the block button and pressing any direction. Now, I don't show it here, but you can also dodge in the air. Next, let's take a look at Zara's standard combo. Now, most characters in Killmaster have an easy combo you can pull off just by tapping the forward attack button multiple times. Now, for Zara, he does a few sword swings, slams his tail, and then finishes it off with a nice big breath of fire! You should also know that you can move while doing any of these attacks, and with a few exceptions, all neutral and power attacks can be charged up. Next, let's look at his neutral up attack. For this, Zara grabs his tail and slings it upwards like a whip. And now for this neutral down attack, Zara is a bit unusual. Instead of attacking near his feet, he launches a fireball, and the more he charges it up, the larger and more devastating it becomes. Up next are Zara's dash attacks. Here you see his dash down attack, where he smashes his tail into the ground and swings around. Now his dash up attack, which is great for launching opponents in the air for the kill. And last is his dash forward attack. For this, Zara leaps forward and slams his sword down, either when he lands or comes into contact with an opponent. You can also cancel this midair if you want, like when you're about to leap off the edge. And here's his in-air up attack, where he blasts fire overhead that can juggle opponents in the air. This is a great combo starter that I love ending with an in-air down attack, which causes a large AoE when he lands. Now I want to show you his grab. Zara is unique because he can grab any number of opponents so long as they are within a certain radius. That means opponents above and below are also in danger. Now you don't see it here, but you also have multiple different throws as well as a few unique attacks you can do while holding an opponent. And lastly, here are two of Zara's power attacks. His power up attack teleports Zara in whatever direction you press and ends it with a brutal slash. And for his power forward attack, Zara summons a bow and arrow, and we're working on adding some target reticules, but for now, watch as I land these my first tries. No, really, I swear, first try, watch this. Unfortunately, we've only gone through about half of Zara's kit. There's so much more I want to show you, but for now, here's a glimpse of the current #1 and #2 rank of Killmaster in the world. That's me winning, by the way. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time in part 2, where we do an entire gameplay episode for Zara.